Justin, you focus quite a lot at the moment on team dynamics and team working, and I know you've got a profile called the TQ. Is that team quotient, team intelligence? What does TQ mean?
That's right. So the TQ measures the 10 factors of a high-performing team.
Okay.
And these 10 factors we've identified both in the teams and organizations that we work with, and the science backs this up. So firstly, purpose and goals, right? I mean, we've got to know why we're here. We've got to know where we're headed. This also relates to role. There's a lot of ambiguity out there. Graham, I just had a session last week in London with heads of learning and development. And people don't always know what they've got to do, right? So that's the hygiene factor. We've got to get that right. Yeah. But once we've got that, then there is psychological safety. Amy Edmondson at Harvard University, Google's Aristotle says this is the number one key to a high-performing team, right? The ability to challenge, right? To be able to make mistakes, right? To screw up.
So people have heard, just to interrupt you on psychological safety, probably, yeah, I've heard about that and all the rest. But you've got to go beyond just understanding it at a conceptual level, right? Or even, I think some companies even weaponize this a little bit, right?
I love that.
You've got to go beyond that.
I love that term, weaponizing psychological safety. I actually wrote an article, when psychological safety becomes psychological danger. Yeah. I had a CEO say to me that, hey, I gave my team member feedback, and then I got feedback saying you made me feel psychologically unsafe. Yeah. And I don't know exactly what happened in that interaction, but that's the weaponization, right? What's missing there? One of the key factors of a high-performing team, feedback.
So this is what your profile does. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. You're going to get to it. Yeah. Is that you can't just look at these things in isolation.
Exactly.
If you're trying to give feedback without psychological safety, I'm ignoring your feedback. But if we're trying to get psychological safety and we don't have the ability to give and receive feedback, not going to happen.
That's such a great point. We get hooked onto, and I think that's why we sometimes say this is a fad, this is a, cliche, because we're seeing it in isolation. And if you do that, you could see it right there. Like, well, okay, yeah, but now that person doesn't know how to receive feedback, yeah? And then they also misinterpreting what psychological safety is. That if I felt, just because I felt uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that there was...
I'm unsafe.
Unsafe, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so quickly, sorry, I interrupted you. Finish them. We've got a few of them. What else?
Yeah, so we've got feedback. Appreciation. Yeah. Some research shows the number one reason people leave a job is lack of appreciation, right? That, yes, there's, the salary makes a difference, but ultimately what really pushes people is the feeling that they're being seen and validated. Conflict resolution. There's going to be conflict's not the problem, right? I work with some organizations, absolutely, and there's constructive conflict, right? There's creative conflict, but can I have those open conversations? Empathy. Some people think empathy just means, that I, pat you on the back when you're not feeling so good, and there's an element of, hey, how you doing? I know you've had a rough time recently, but real empathy, Henry Ford said, it's the ability to see a situation both from my perspective and theirs. Yeah. That's necessary in a team and for a client. If I don't have empathy for a client, cognitive empathy, how can I deliver for them? Mm-hmm. And by the way, a lot of these skills apply to client relationships, but we use the team as an incubator to deal with them. And we generally found when you get this right in the team, the client satisfaction goes up. The sales even improve, right? Because I'm more influential out there. Growth mindset. We've all heard that. Satya Nadella from Microsoft says it's the number one key that has taken that company, increased their share value by over 1,000% in the past 10 years. But again, given growth mindset, very important, to be continual learners, but it's got to be connected to all these other elements, because I'm not going to have a growth mindset if I don't feel psychologically safe to screw up.
Or appreciated for what I did.
Correct, right. Or appreciated, Graham, for when I did screw up but learned the lesson, because you either win or you learn, right? So absolutely. We're very proud of giver mindset. So beautiful research done by Adam Grant at Wharton Business School. A key factor in high-performing teams. Like, am I generous? Do I check in? Like, how can I help you? Can I stand in for you? Or am I just saying that's not my job, right? Yeah, it might not be your job, but it could be your opportunity to serve, right? And so that service is not just a corporate strategy. It's a mindset that really needs to, and we see it in a high correlation between giver mindset and performance. Accountability. I think every team leader, right? When I talk to a lot of them, I'm sure you do, it's like, I just want them to take responsibility. I just want them to do their bit. I just want them to do what they said. I just want them to follow through, right? Yeah. Autonomy. Do they feel like they can follow through? Sometimes they're not following through. They're not being accountable because they think that if they are accountable, they're going to get shut down, or maybe that's not what they're supposed to do, or they have to check in with you because they haven't been given that freedom, right? A certain circumscribed freedom to go out
and I love that you put accountability and autonomy together, because those, I think a lot of people, they hear autonomy and they say, oh, we can't have the Wild West in this country, we can't just let anybody do what they like. And you say, no, but it's got to be matched with these others, right?
Absolutely.
And that for me, from what I can see, is the genius now of this profiling system that you've got. It takes a lot of things that people have heard about, maybe even some they think they're doing quite well at, but it now puts that into a single framework, right? And each piece is connected to the others. You've got to get all of them functioning well. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. This looking at these ideas in isolation, I think has been the big error. I've just seen some very interesting research coming out showing that a lot of these silver bullets, like grit even, yes, even growth mindset, which I'm totally back, but when you do it in isolation, in psychology, we have a term called the fade out effect. So you will see a ship, but it often fades out. And the belief is that it's because we are looking at it in isolation. We're not developing these other aspects. And certainly we do see that when you develop, across the board, you see a much better result.
So if people want to do this, they want to do the profile, find out more, develop this stuff, how do they get hold of you?
Contact me, Justin at theaugmentedteam.com.
Perfect. I hope they do.
Thanks, Graham.